the flags
You
back
got
in this
moved.
corner where it belongs.
Oh, we have to turn around.
Yep. I don't know who moved it.
Gonna have to turn around backwards.
We used them for the, press conference over at the election center, so I suppose when they
Oh.
go back, they just.
That is, actually, technically it belongs there.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is 8 o'clock. Let's stand to do the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public discussion. We'll start right, go left.
Have them.
Go ahead. Kind of come up a little way so we can hear you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Brian.
So about a year ago, I got my taxes and I paid close to $5,000 for what I'm gonna call Lots Creek. It's the joint act #1 with Alta County. So I figured, and I had a choice, I could do it over 10 years or I could pay it all at once. And I figured, well, good idea to pay it all at once, then I don't have to pay the interest and all that. So then this year, I get assessments for the same drainage pact #1. So I start doing some investigation and, I'm curious, when did you accept the work for Corey Jorgens? What date was that, if you know?
The contract,
Yeah,
2019, I sent you that this morning in the supervisor minutes after I got your email.
I got it in the email, but I'm asking, when was the date of acceptance of the work? In other words, he's all done with his
Oh,
work
sorry.
and you accept.
Project was closed out.
Correct.
Correct.
Completion.
I don't remember when the completion hearing was.
Would it be fair to say 2022?
That was last year. I think I was that? I want to say I was here observing.
Do you want to have Marge come down?
Okay.
I don't,
And the reason why I asked that question is, I'm curious how many repairs Bolton and Meg and Corey Jorgens did after the completion acceptance? How many repairs have they done out there for you guys? Any?
We don't know what the drainage assessments are for. There could have been something besides the ditch. I'm not.
What
Sure.
else would there be?
Well, on your drainage assessments that you got, is that work that was done specifically to the ditch, or was that different tile projects within the district over the past year for which the district is now?
No, this is specific to Last Creek.
Okay,
Because I also got them for some other houses that I'm not even, in my opinion, part of, but I got this
right.
$15 assessment.
That's the one we had, all those pipe problem was a pay it before next.
So did we determine the date?
She's not in the building right now, so.
Oh,
yeah,
oh. So again, my question is, what percentage of repairs have Corey Jorgens and Bolton Mank done since the acceptance of the contract? Have they done any?
You'd have to talk to Marge about that.
All right. And then the next question I have is, would you as a board agree to reimburse us our assessments if we determine that Corey Jorgens and Bolton Mank should have done the repairs according to the contract? In other words, if they were under the contract, we're supposed to come back and do repairs due to faulty workmanship or defects. And you guys didn't tell them to do that. You went out and hired somebody else to do it. Now we're getting, in other words, you're going outside the contract when they should have been doing the repairs.
The engineer said the work was done according to the specifications of the contract at the closing time.
That's great.
From then on, there would have to be something else why you got an assessment for it.
No, because if there's defects in their workmanship, according to your one contract, it says they have to cover it for a following year. So if you didn't accept it until 2022 and we're into 2023, they should have been fixing any defects. And I'll just give you one example. When they put in the culvert, they put it out too far. So then when the ice dams came, they crushed all the culverts. And then when the water came, it couldn't go, I mean, it was like you close the end of the hose, so it backed up in the fields and then it washed out my field. So, I mean, that's a defect in workmanship. Either A, they didn't place the culverts in there correctly, B, they used inferior products, or C, they didn't pack around the culvert correctly. Now, I understand Carter told me you were gonna do, some kind of drone flight.
That was
Okay,
completed, yeah.
who did that?
Bolton and Mank did the drone flight.
All right, did they do that for free?
No,
Okay, are we paying for that?
yes,
That would probably not be on that assessment, though.
No, it'll
No.
be for next year, right? Okay, but it would have been effects within the 1 year period, correct? And they're on the contract, correct? I mean, shouldn't they be covering anything that's under the, I mean, in other
They're,
words,
they're not under the same contract as Corey Jurgens, no.
understood, but they were the contracted engineer at the same time, right?
this was a different,
Same.
the
time,
drone
yeah.
flight, we just hired them to do the drone flight and to do the video. But we have recently appointed Jacobson Westergaard as the engineer for doing the repairs.
Right.
To
And
right
if
now.
it's determined that it's an engineering defect or a contractor defect, will you assess that against the contract that you had for Last Creek? In other words, if they're liable, why are we paying for it?
What I'm hearing you say is that if there were things that at the time of completion weren't done to specifications, and now you're having issues,
Well,
are we
that's not
gonna,
exactly what I'm saying.
okay,
What I'm saying is, you guys accepted it, which is cool. But the contract says, maintenance to remedy any and all defects that may develop or result from work to be performed within 1 year period. Says that right in the contract. So in other words, it's like a warranty. Like, I do work for you guys as a lawyer, for example. I screw up. You come back to me and say, I screwed up. You accepted my work at the time because you thought it was good. I say, oh, let me make that right with you. I'm not gonna charge you to fix this. I'm just gonna fix it. That's all I'm asking you guys to ask the contractor to do. Have him fix the problems that are occurring out there under his warranty.
are we still under his warranty though?
Well, probably not today,
Yeah,
but anything that occurred within that 1 year period is. And yet somehow I'm getting an assessment. You know, I guess my next question is, which supervisor can I correspond with to work on this issue? Because I'd really like to dig into it and figure out who owes what. And I don't want to pay any more than I have to. For example, I'm the one that paid when my field washed out this spring. We had a plan. We didn't have time to wait for you guys to run your drone. We had to get going. I paid $1,200 to fix my field that you guys aren't paying me back. It was my property. I wanted it fixed, but I believe it's under the contract. I believe I could potentially go after Jurgens or the Bolton Mank, whoever screwed up. You know, is it worth me to do that for $1,200? Maybe not. Is it worth you guys to do it for $1 million? Absolutely.
well, I'll work with you, Brian, and looking into that.
All right. Anything else you want to say, dude?
Um,
We'll work with Carter.
I can present pictures of what they did in November, and I took pictures in April of the bank starting to slough away in. I've got it on my phone.
Yeah.
We've got proof that things occurred within the 1 year period, we believe.
Yeah, I was out there.
So you know it too.
Yeah, I know it.
So we shouldn't be paying this, right? I mean,
Well,
we should be.
the first thing you gotta do
talking-
is prove that the contractor didn't follow the engineer's original design.
Or the design was defect.
The design was defect. You have to prove that.
So do we have Westergaard looking into all this?
We're gonna ask him that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we want to go back and get reimbursed.
I-
Right?
I've had conversations with Jacobson Westergaard as far as some of the issues that were happening. We'll continue to look into that, yeah.
So when we get reimbursed, will we as taxpayers be reimbursed for our assessments if we don't owe it?
Yeah,
Great.
We haven't done any of those repairs yet, so.
no,
Right.
Actually, you guys did one repair that I know of, it's over by Ronnie Schaefer. He had two culverts, and I know some of you guys, they were stuck out of the bank. It was just dropping on dry ground, and that washed out really bad. And I believe this.
We had-
They came in and rock, and I don't know who did it. It was done.
We had Wrightsville do a couple of repairs where it was washing the dirt away.
Okay, that must have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was bad.
it needed to be done before it got worse.
It should have been done prior, but
Yeah,
it takes time, I understand.
Yeah.
But it is, he came in and did a nice job.
thank you
That's
guys.
all I had. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Okay,
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yep, thanks for coming in. Stop by and talk to Marge if you got questions. She'll answer at the
Yeah.
drainage board.
If she's not there, she's over at the annex, so she should be back in a few
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
I've talked to her a little bit about it, but.
Yeah,
Yeah, if she's not there, she should be back shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Summit. Good.
Good. Haley Langrill, Summit Carbon Solutions. I also have Richard Dove here with me. He's one of our construction managers. I know you guys probably saw my email, sent some updates on the project and just some new information last week. So I'm just here to see if you guys have any follow-up questions. May not be able to answer them all, but I've got my notepad, so I can get some answers if you guys have anything.
We keep reading all the, this as the world turns kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
There's definitely a lot of articles right now, especially with the IUD going on and everything, but if you guys do have any questions, while it's going on or as new things come up, feel free to email me at the same email address that I sent you that information on, and my phone number's on there as well, so you can give me a call.
Right now, you're at about 52% in the county, last time I checked.
That's, yeah.
That was the numbers last week, yeah.
I wouldn't think that it's changed too much
I don't think so.
since last week.
What's your prospects for North Dakota and South Dakota?
So North Dakota, on Friday, we were granted the reconsideration. So that one will move forward. I'm not exactly sure how that process works. That does not mean that we have our permit and we're ready to construct. It just means that they're gonna look at the changes that we made. I think there might be another shorter hearing, and then they'll go from there. But there were some reroutes and things like that in that reconsideration. And then South Dakota, we will have to completely reapply for that one. So that's gonna be a little bit longer timeline. But we're hoping, I'm not exactly sure on the timeline of that, when we'll reapply. But when I know, I will get that information to you guys. But that will be a little bit longer process for sure than North Dakota.
Does that change your timeline as far as construction?
It's
You're
definitely
anticipating.
South Dakota, for sure, because we can't construct in South Dakota. As far as Iowa and the other states, I'm not exactly sure. Richard, do you know if there's any change?
Yeah, so as of now, construction start date is gonna be first quarter 25. The permit schedule. That is about, there's permit schedule, construction start date.
Oh, the hearings go in Fort Dodge. You're done in Fort Dodge?
No, they're still going
Still going.
on. They just put out a new, weekly digest for this week. I think there's some Sierra Club, the Geordie landowners, witnesses will be up there, and some others as well. But, we get the weekly digest every week, but they gotta get through all the witnesses, so we're not exactly sure when that will end. We have gotten through all the 7 witnesses.
Okay.
So when you're applying through the IUB, and let's just say they would look at your route, in light of the Dakotas, I know we're a little different, but would they request that you take a little bit different route so that it's not quite so close to some people's houses and that sort of thing? I mean, can they request that as
Yeah.
part of your condition?
They can, yes, they can. So just to kind of go through the process a little bit. When we first, we have our engineering teams put together a route. We submit that to the IUB way back in 21. They give us a corridor to move within. That was one tract on either side of the original route that we submitted. But as time goes on, obviously we're in the hearings and there were landowners, Exhibit H landowners that came up and offered up different routes that may be outside of that corridor. If the IUB sees that as a good route, then they could request that we make that change. But we would have to get approval from the IUB before we make that change if it's not in the original corridor.
And would that mean if they did find the route is not suitable for them, would that mean reapplying, or would that just mean a yes under these conditions?
It depends on if it's just landowner by landowner, I think it would be yes under these conditions.
Yep,
If it's a really, really large reroute, then there is potential for us to reapply.
sure.
You don't really see that happening in Iowa based on the conversations or how the hearings have gone so far, but we're not done yet, so.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Thinking they should move it to Humboldt County?
Maybe we should let them.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one. Big reroute there.
I kind of think maybe that would be your best plan.
I don't know, I'm only a half mile from Humboldt County, I think I'd still hear about
Okay.
So, if you guys are granted your permits and stuff, for Iowa, but not yet for the Dakotas or anything like that, will you start construction in Iowa first, or do you guys have to have all of your permits for
it,
everywhere
all the states.
done?
I think to answer your question, I think that's why like Richard said, we moved it back to 2025 instead of 2024, because there is this time period where we're gonna be having to wait on South Dakota now. As far as the state goes, once we get our permit in Iowa, I don't think there's really anything to stop us from starting construction, but it sounds like we have made the choice based on what's happened in South Dakota to go ahead and push that back. So we're doing construction in all states, at the same time.
Because you're not gonna spend the money to construct something in Iowa and then something happened in South Dakota that drags it on longer or
Yeah.
it doesn't happen or whatever, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, so,
No point in disturbing land if you don't.
right.
Tax credits, when do they start going away?
I'm not exactly sure on that. Like, when do they stop?
They ratchet down, correct?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure on that process.
The way I understand it, I think there's 12 more years of tax credits.
Okay.
It's not 12 years of credits once you start receiving them. I think there's 12 years of credits from this year's way I understood the conversation. But I'm not 100% on that.
I thought they had a ratchet effect where they got less or,
Well, they do, they get less over the 12 years, but after 12 years, they go away.
yeah. So is there a point where like, if you get detained till 26, will you tank the program or you haven't decided that yet?
That's.
Yeah. Not that I know of. I
Okay.
haven't heard any conversations of that, but like you said, we're a little bit low on the totem pole for that one.
Any other questions?
So these investors, have they ever thought about switching gears and maybe going after construction of the plant that takes this CO2 and turns it into methanol instead of doing that versus trying to pipe it across the country and pump it in the ground?
Yeah, the only thing I can say about the methanol is, those methanol companies, they would have to make the same agreement with the ethanol companies that we have. And I know that's very energy intensive. So in order to create the green methanol, so for one ethanol plant to add a small methanol plant next to it, you're looking at 100+ windmills being added in order to create the energy needed. And that's a real life example that we heard from one of the ethanol plants in Wright County, why they chose the pipeline rather than the methanol. So that's really all I can speak on as far as that goes. I don't really know where the investors are at on that.
Thank you.
I think it's still in the works.
What's still in the works?
that somebody'd make methanol out of the CO2.
Well, they've got the contracts, they'll get to work somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Roy, or whatever his name is, I talked to him not that long ago, and they're still pursuing it.
Sure.
It probably won't be in Kossuth County, but. You got any questions for us?
Good, if you, just feel free to reach out to me anytime. I know it's been a while since I've been in here. But we do want to keep communication open, so.
Thank
More
you.
questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Y'all have a great day.
Yep.
You too.
Thanks.
Anything for public discussion? Oh, yeah.
Dan, and you'll be,
We gotta have,
You gotta.
you approve the
adjust-
agenda minutes dated September 12th. Right,
Oh, some of them, sure.
in a second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Everybody had a chance to look at the claims on the iPad. Do I have a motion to approve claims and conservation claims? Motion by Stecker, second by Josh.
Also.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimous. What's this down?
I thought I talked to her already about this.
Stop that. Necessary paperwork.
Oh, I understand that.
You've never had any paperwork.
Oh, no, never.
Yeah. I'm still. Just think how efficient we could be if we didn't have to shuffle paper.
Come up with something else, Roger.
Would they?
Yeah. That's how that usually works.
Yeah. And we are up to Veterans Affairs.
All right, well, August shaped up to be a very busy month. For the month of August, I had 52 phone calls, 48 messages with 60 walk-ins, 25 scheduled appointments, one appointment out of office. We did 4 veteran transports, and we had 7 sets of hearing aids prepared for some of our veterans. Currently, the number of system records that I have in my latest software program is 1,172. I've currently got 51 claims in the system to VA. I've got 3 that are marked ready for decision, 15 under development that I'm working on, 1 supplemental claim also that I'm working on, and was able to enroll 3 additional veterans into the healthcare system last month. I have myself and all 4 commissioners registered for our training in Altoona next month in October. I'll be in attendance for the State Association Board meeting on the 9th of October in Altoona. And I'm currently, I've completed one of 5 scheduled computer-based courses for self-development. And it's in reference to doing a more thorough job on the Camp Lejeune claims, Gulf War particulate matter claims, military sexual trauma claims, and then the benefits delivery at discharge. So those training modules go into more detail, and I'm looking to try and improve my skills with respect to developing each and every one of those types of claims as they come across them. Last Thursday, I was at the Clay County Fair VSO booth, met with about 12 veterans last Thursday and talked with them. Quite a few from Minnesota, actually. I didn't realize they came down for that, but so that was interesting. Continuing to focus on my VA healthcare enrollment. I actually have a veteran coming in later on this afternoon from up North Lakota area. Still working with one veteran to get his shower updated. He talked to me yesterday. He's got to get a second estimate. He hasn't provided that to me yet. When he does, I'll get that taken care of. My new software program has what is called ad hoc capability for reporting. So now I can go in and play with queries and try and tailor and custom a report to what I want to see out of that data. At least it's better than what it was. And I know the last time we talked as an alibi, how many veterans currently in the program are deceased. I started building that report, and as of Saturday, I had 462. Now, what I don't know if that's a completely closed out record, meaning there's no further action because there's no minor dependent children or spouses, or if they're both deceased, and I'm kind of working to tighten that picture up, get you a better number. But that's just kind of learning the ropes on that feature. I came up with 462 at the present time, and I'm sure there's going to be more than that. Also included in your packet, just an interesting note on the Iowa Veterans Home newsletter that I enclosed for you to take a look at. And then VA had also published a genetic testing scam, which I thought was kind of interesting. I know there's folks that are kind of into the whole genealogy thing and DNA samples and all that kind of stuff. And apparently someone has the ability to threaten folks now with genetic testing scams. So they had put that out as a fraud alert. September's been relatively busy as well. I'm looking to try and get geared up for our school in Altoona. It's going to be unique in the fact that at the fall conference, we're not focused so much on CEUs as we are some of the other things that we can dive into, unique to the counties here in Iowa that we can work on. Primarily practical exercise workshops, interview techniques, and things of that nature. So we can kind of break out of the structured schoolhouse frame. The other unique thing about that is the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs is now in charge of our training. So while the Education Committee provides some input and somewhat of a liaison to those folks, they're running the show. That's a first for us. So we're kind of got some questions about how that's going to go, but hopefully things will go well. Also spent 2 days with the Hancock County VSO, Mr. Jim Welsh, former United States Army military retiree. Spent 1 day where he came over to the shop over here, and we did some left seat, right seat, ride training type things and getting him postured for success. He then wanted to come over and take a look and see how a commission meeting was done. So I invited him back over last week, Thursday, and he got to see that and take some notes and ask the commissioners questions and kind of get their feedback as well. So all in all, pretty good training. He seems to be doing pretty well. Haven't heard anything lately, but been in and out of the office quite a bit. So subject to your questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Dan?
getting the new commissioners up and running?
I am, they are, they have their rooms reserved, they have the information packet for the school, they have a map, and they have the tentative schedule for Monday for their block of training. So all of that was covered in detail. I just told them to make sure to keep track of any, receipts, parking, that kind of stuff, and then we will take care of that when training's done, so. The only other alibi I got is I have a recent veteran that's taken advantage of vocational rehabilitation, small business, looking to do a startup financial consultant company at a smaller level here in Algona. So it looks pretty good. I've seen some paperwork in his file yesterday from VA. They approved his program, his business plan, kind of his debt prevention plan, things of this nature. So it looks pretty good. So I'm hoping he's successful with that. He's got a strong financial background. So.
Good. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maureen, do you want to come up?
Downtown.
You want to introduce her?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maureen Hanson with the Third Judicial District Department of Corrections, one of the boards I was on previously. Josh has that now.
Oh, you are.
Welcome to Kossuth County.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I just want to first start off by offering my condolences to City of Algona and Kossuth County for the murder of Officer Cram. And what a humbling picture to drive up and see the squad car just fully covered by flowers and, memento. So it was quite touching. And very, I'm sure it was a hard week for everybody here, has been. I wanted to just meet with the board to advise you a little bit about what we do and just the changes that have taken place since the 1st of July. With the 1st of July, there's been a realignment with departments, and the 8 judicial districts now are part of the Iowa Department of Corrections. So our title now is Iowa Department of Corrections 3rd District. And within the Iowa Department of Corrections, there are 8 districts, and those boundaries haven't changed, and 9 prisons, and they haven't changed either. As of August 31st, there were statewide, there were 30,498 individuals on community supervision, 1,367 in residential facilities, and 8,307 in prison. And that is a high capacity for the prisons. In our district, we have 16 counties. And if you kind of picture it as a triangle, Kossuth County is the northeastern edge. It goes across to Lyon County, south to Crawford County, and then kind of zigzags. And the 10 counties, the northernmost 10 counties are covered by our office in Sheldon. So Kossuth County is covered by our office in Sheldon. And then the 6 counties in the southern part of our district are covered by our office in Sioux City. We currently have 85 staff for our whole district, and that probation officers, residential facility staff, support staff, administrative staff. The classes that we offer at both our Sheldon and our Sioux City locations, our sex offender treatment program, a cognitive class called acceptance and commitment therapy, and then IDAP. We have an anger class as well. And then IDAP is the Iowa Domestic Abuse Program, and that is facilitated by outer agencies right now. We have specialty courts, drug courts for Clay, Dickinson, Plymouth, and Woodbury counties, and we have a veterans court in Woodbury County. Most of the time, I think, the counties want to know about the residential facilities because that has the largest impact on the county, when clients are sitting in county jail waiting to get into the RTF. And it seems like our wait time continues to be around 3 months. And we have just an overwhelming population of clients coming from all directions, I guess, for our residential facilities. So we have 2 facilities. One facility is 57 beds. It's an all-male facility that houses sex offenders and men coming out of prison. Then we have a 42-bed facility that has 16 beds for women and 26 beds for men. And that male population would be probationers and those serving their OWI sentence. Instead of going to prison, they go to the facility. So if you think of most of the county jail clients are probably going to be on probation. They either were sentenced at the time of sentencing. Instead of going to prison, the judge says you have to go to the RTF. And sometimes they were given the opportunity for probation, violated their probation, back to court, and then sentenced to the RTF. So it's a 26 beds for that client for our whole district. Explains why we have kind of the backlog.
Where is that located?
In Sioux City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's, we kind of have a campus, I guess, or a big,
facility.
big building. The main floor has the 2 facilities. They're just separated by a hallway, and the second floor is probation, parole, and administration. Right behind the Hard Rock, right by Palmer Candy, if you ever get to Sioux City. Some of our residential data for 2000 fiscal year 23. The average length of stay for an OWI client is 5.3 months. And the length is primarily because we want them to complete their substance abuse treatment, at least their primary care, and then get released for aftercare in the community. Our state work release, so those would be the individuals coming out of prison, have not yet made it to parole. Their average length of stay is 3.9 months. And then our special sentence would be our sex offenders. They are 5.5 months. And again, we want them to complete a certain portion of their sex offender treatment before being released back into the community. In total, last fiscal year, we served 379 clients in our residential facilities. Just some additional information about the average time on supervision in total. And so field supervision, probation, the average length of time was 20.8 months. Parole, so they've been to prison, released, and now finishing out their sentence on parole. That's 16.7 months. And special sentence, again, that's for the sex offender population, 43.45 months. And the length of time for special sentences related to their sentence, they are either sentenced to 10 years or lifetime. So that's why that number is pretty dramatically higher than the other categories. And then the percent of revoked to prison. Probation is 5%, parole 15%, and special sentence 12%. And those numbers are just revoked to prison. So it doesn't include, say you would have a probationer that violated supervision, had to go to the RTF, violated supervision, did jail time, and was done. So those I don't have that data. We're working on it, but we just have the data of return to prison. And then I wanted just to provide some specific information for Kossuth County. As of September 1st, there were 80 people on active supervision living in Sioux County. 11 on parole, 61 on probation, 3 special sentence, and 5 pretrial release. So they haven't been convicted yet, but they're not being held in custody, so we supervise them to make sure they get back to court. And then we have the levels of supervision range from 0 to 5. So 0 would be very low risk, low violence, low needs. 5 would be your higher risk, high needs. We have none on paper supervision. We have 36 on level 1, 28 on level 2. So that's 64 of your 80 clients on supervision are on your very lowest level of supervision. And then the remaining are on, so level 3 would be like your normal, meet with your PO once a month. Pretty average standard level of supervision. There are 7 clients on level 3, 6 clients on level 4, and 1 level 5. And then 2 new cases. And then the other bit of information comes from your county attorney's office. So it would be convictions in Kossuth County that resulted in supervision within our district. So they don't necessarily live in Kossuth County, but they were convicted here and are on supervision now, either parole or probation. 1 A felony for kidnapping, 1 B felony that was drug related, 9 C felonies, so that'd be a 10-year. They were related to child endangerment and drug related. 43 D felonies, so D felonies are a 5-year prison sentence. Most of them were related to burglary third, domestic assault, forgery, assault, OWI third, or drug related. No felony enhancements. 42 aggravated misdemeanors. And they were related to assault, child endangerment, domestic abuse, OWI second, and fraud. 10 serious misdemeanors. Related to domestic assault, OWI, possession and harassment. 3 simple misdemeanors for domestic assault and disorderly conduct. And then 4 special sentence convictions. 2 of them were 10-year and 2 of them were lifetime. That's kind of an overview of just what's happening district-wide and in your county. Our board has changed from being a governing board to an advisory board. So I just wanted to make sure that I kept in contact with the counties, that we really cherish the relationships that we have with law enforcement, the probation and parole officers that come to the county, and the space that's provided for them to meet with their clients, and just the communication in general with law enforcement has been wonderful. And we appreciate that. We know that Kossuth County is on the far edge of our district, and that can be difficult for the clients to receive services. We are doing more and more virtual classes to help overcome that barrier for clients. And again, I just wanted to really reiterate our appreciation and working for the people of Kossuth County and law enforcement, local and countywide as well. And would answer any questions or hear any concerns that you have.
Any questions from you?
Thank you for what you do.
Thanks
Thanks.
Joshua for making the drive all that time. We will meet
Want to call them?
a couple times a year.
Yeah,
Instead,
yeah.
but anyway, I appreciate appreciate that and appreciate your time.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Yep, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. You? The Dave rings.
Okay.
Come on. Yes.
Okay.
See you guys later.
See ya.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I'll go out for coffee at the same time.
We might be over getting the wood.
Oh,
I'll walk down there quick, see if I can find anyone.
I guess we'll take a 5-minute break.
Doesn't take you out to walk.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Watched Isaac run last night.
So I saw you down. I assumed that.
Okay, yep, yep.
Yeah, they did well last night.
Yeah, they did.
They said the course, I don't know if they put like some gravel in it or something. They said there was a couple areas, like Isaac fell at
Oh,
one point,
oh,
going up the hill. towards
Loose-
the end, he fell.
loose
So it was
gravel.
Loose.
yeah,
That's, the times were a little slower than last year, so I'm sure that
yeah,
probably, everybody else is probably running.
yeah, yeah,
They didn't fall.
yeah. See ya. Cross country meet Humble last night. Guess we are taking a break.
They're both on the phone.
Oh, okay. We lost Jack.
Just said he was just giving you right back.
Okay.
Do we wanna do any of the drainage stuff quick?
Like the
Are they gonna be a little bit?
railroad notice.
A little bit, but
Don't know,
um,
could be,
right.
Well, we gotta wait for Jack to come back anyway, too.
yeah. You guys have any questions on the stuff for the railroad,
No,
or any thoughts on it?
that's what we talked about.
Yeah, Spencer was
Mhm.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
here.
we had a public hearing about it.
Yep.
This is just the official notice that
Formal.
he worked with Jim Hudson on putting together.
We wanna wait for Doug to clarify the minutes. Wait for, did you get the letter?
From Doug, did you get one or not?
Yes.
Okay. We wanna wait for him to clarify the minutes.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Jack.
Doug, we're ready for you for manager of the landfill and transfer station.
Yeah,
You're
we
next.
discussed this. So I would recommend that the board appoint Mike Stevens as manager of the Sioux County landfill and transfer station, effective today. You're welcome.
I'd entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Carter, we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimous.
All right, thank you. No construction in the road right of way. No request for construction of the road right of way.
Yep.
We did have an accident between two Sioux County pieces of equipment. Last Tuesday, we had a hood on one of our Western Star trucks that was damaged significantly. So we found a used hood and purchased that last Wednesday. It is being delivered. We hope to make it work for the winter at least and get it fixed a little bit more permanently. So we'll get that taken care of. Friday, the road department, with respect to Officer Cram, Police Officer Cram, we did line McGregor and the Laverne Sexton Road, that intersection, the road department showing respect. And I think the board was aware of that, but we did. We got resurfacing projects, they're shouldering and painting, so that should be by the end of the week opened up. The bridge, are still working on that and looking at a deck pour, hoping that will be next week. Algona Airport, I did not go out there yesterday, but my understanding is they are supposed to start this week, so that road will soon be closed. 100 Avenue between McGregor and 18. And the DOT project, the culvert replacement, that was supposed to be opened up yesterday. However, I did not make it up there, so whether they opened it or not, I'm not sure. We still have positions that we are trying to fill. Just received a notice of retirement for a secondary road employee, so I'll be advertising for that quickly.
How many open positions in total do we have?
Pardon me?
How many open positions in total do we have then currently?
5.
Plus the retirement,
That's,
including the retirement.
that would be including it. The same amount now that the transfer station manager has been filled, so. And then we talked a little bit about bridges, and we got the bridge north of Sexton that has seen considerable deterioration in its substructure. We do have plans ready for 2 bridges. One, both of them in Prairie Township, one on the west line of 26 of Prairie Township, and that's a little bit south of Dana Orndorfer's house, if you know where Dana lives. And then we have one, if you go south and right around the corner going west by George Gunter's place, there's another timber bridge. We have those ready to be let. October 10th, we could let those, unless the board would like to hold these and get that project north of Sexton completed sooner. I believe that I will have enough money, the road department will have enough money in our construction budget to do both of these structures. And then next spring, after winter, we will get those plans for north of Sexton completed and still be able to let that, unless prices have come up greatly for bridge construction. So I don't know what the board feels we should do there. But if you want to, we can go ahead and get these signed and advertised, have a letting. However you guys would feel.
Are we going to need to post that other bridge if we do the one north
No,
of Sexton next year?
If we would have action as quick as getting it constructed next year, I don't believe posting would be needed, but if we would have to delay it, we will definitely have to post it.
What's everyone's thoughts?
I guess, is that your recommendation to do the two, left the two here this fall and then pursue the other one this next year at north of Sexton?
I believe we can do that, yes, and again, unless something would,
Sure,
prices would be drastically
Yeah.
high. But it's gonna push back some of the other projects that we planned,
right.
so we'll have to move on a little bit.
I guess my concern would be, you know, how this winter will affect that bridge if it's already deteriorating pretty good, you know, is it gonna make it unsafe by spring?
Well, it's not gonna be unsafe as long as people travel and obey the rules as far as embargoes on the bridge. And just, I mean, obviously if somebody is overloaded and does more damage to that structure, then it will happen. The season is not going to affect it. It's a matter that those pilings are 60 years old and they've deteriorated to a point where they only estimated 30 to 40% capacity underneath them. So if we do not do anything, that's why we would have to lower the posting. As far as safety, as long as, I mean, it's pretty much going to be limited to 10-ton single axle vehicles at 20 ton, half of what leading loads are. So
Well, what's your recommendation as far as priority between these two versus the one in Sexton or other projects that
Well,
we have to push back? Or,
we're these bridges, we receive money from windmills. $1.5 million from the Kossuth Wind Energy Project. And the board and I, when we received that money, discussed that, and there were 3 timber bridges down in that area that we were going to use that money to replace those. As far as priority, these have been, in fact, one of them was in a program and to be replaced, and the board decided to take it out because it was on a gravel road. And at the time, the board didn't feel it was even necessary. Now, when the bridge gets closed, it's going to be necessary to construct it. The landowners are not going to say it's not a priority.
Right.
But, you know, so these bridges are posted. The one at George Gunter's, there's loaded trucks that go over that, and then they go to the intersection and they get stuck. They can't get through the intersection, and they do damage at the bridge east of its intersection. Well signed that there's a posted bridge up there. Why truckers even try to take that road, they do. So, but as far as priority, we're gonna have to make some decisions. We're gonna be to the point this next fiscal year, if revenue does not change, we're gonna have to say, what are the priorities? Because we don't have enough money to
resurface roads for construction. We're not gonna have money for bridges, and unless federal funds, state funds, or alternate funds come in, the local funds just aren't keeping up with the prices of construction materials. And that's something, I don't know if it's important to drive to a bridge and not be able to go over it, or it's important to go over a bridge but not necessarily drive to it. That's something we gotta start, we'll have to really start looking at.
I mean, I'd be all in favor of going forward as you're talking.
Well, we will get these advertised then and get them let, if you guys will sign those then. Morning.
Do you know when the projected completion date for that Titanca Road Bridge is,
Well,
or estimate?
once they pour the deck, I mean, they still got 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah,
If everything goes well on it,
sure.
so. Hopefully that'll be the case. That's all that I have.
Okay,
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks.
give me a call, Marge.
Doug,
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 hey, we'll be ready for you for drainage here next. Thanks.
I think just need to clarify the minutes, so I don't know.
What was the date for the?
Oh, I don't know if we really, I mean, it's just clarifying the minutes.
I listened to the recording, and it's exactly what you got in the meeting, so
Yeah.
you'll have to decide if you want to it or not, but
Okay,
when I listened to it, it said the first part, and then later you can clarify by saying per.
yeah,
Whatever the end part was, and so, because I thought maybe
Yeah.
I mistyped, but no,
Sure.
it's exactly how you made the
I think that's
motion.
pretty,
You'll have to decide if you want to change the motion.
yeah,
We can talk about that during
Okay.
board discussion
Yep,
here
that's fine.
then.
you want to drainage?
Marge, we are up for the notice to repair, for drain 90. Do you have anything besides what was in our board packet?
No, just if you.
Okay. Well, I would make a motion to approve the notice for repair.
I'll second.
Okay, we have motion and second on the floor. Is there any discussion or questions about the notice? All those in favor say aye.
Alright,
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimous. Then we have a, request for waiver for drain 4, lateral 11. Or do you wanna share about this, or do you want me to highlight it quick?
It's, what's it, so the landowner requesting if there could be a waiver for, a large amount that no one else had requested, so I said I could bring it to the board if they would. And it's up to you, if you wanna offer.
Yeah. It was not, one that we had planned waivers for previously, but Marge said there's still time if they came in and signed the paperwork, we could do that if it was okay with the board, so.
That's fine.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to
So move.
allow the waivers for this landowner.
Oh, which one we gotta take? The 10
What, yeah, what you,
10 years
what,
or
I-
20 years?
10 years, I would think would be sufficient. Is that your motion? Okay, do we have a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimous. Okay, we are up to discussion with our auditor.
First, I don't know if you noticed the note in with the credit card bills today. We've talked about this before, and I talked about this with Carissa, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. We passed a policy that says we can't put meals on credit cards. Carissa has her own board, so hers is a little different. Her policy with her board does not say that she is allowed to do that. But we keep seeing charges on the credit card. We don't let anybody else in the county do that. We give them back to them until they can. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that she is still doing that. And the policy does not say that she is allowed to, and our county policy says she cannot.
So I discussed that with her, a little while ago, and talked to her about opening an account with, the grocery stores, wherever she purchases that stuff from.
Well, these are like
to-
actual meals, like.
Like restaurants,
Like going after.
This is
Okay.
like.
that needs to be on
This one's
personal
like-
card and be
Okay,
reimbursed.
okay, that was a different one then.
Or
Okay.
paid by cash or whatever,
Yeah.
reimbursed, not on the
Yeah.
county card.
Yeah. So you guys did
do-
approve this one, but.
Do you wanna go talk to her together after the meeting on that, or? Do you wanna talk to
I
her?
can talk to her about it.
Okay.
Then I got an email from Judge Sandy this last week. And he was asking about the possibility of installing some type of bulletproof window with the clerk of court's office. This has been in discussion before, but especially after the issues of last week, the gentleman who was a suspect in the murder of Officer Cram was in the building the day before it happened. So in his email, he talks about how we want to make sure that the clerk of court's office on the third floor is secure. So he had talked about other counties that have bulletproof glass in the clerk's office. One county, Emmett County, recently did that. And so he asked them to send me the quotes, the invoices for Interstate, which is the bulletproof glass. And then the other company that did the installation of what it would cost, was about $12,000 for the glass and about $2,000 for the installation. I told him that I would bring that up to you guys and talk to you about it this morning, and see what you wanted to do. We could put it on an agenda item, could get our own quote if you feel so. We can have a couple companies come in and look at it and bring it up again, if you guys choose to do so. I did tell him that I also thought that was something that
Would that kind of tie in with what, we are already working on completing up there? Would it be possible to tie that in and potentially use that same funding source?
Absolutely, that would be a good.
I think that we should do that. I don't know if we need to tack it on to what's already being worked on, or if we need to have a separate project for that.
Just, I would say separate project, doing it in conjunction, cause
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be tied in with door lock.
It has to be separate because
Okay.
Yeah, but I would say get a couple quotes and put it back on the agenda would be my opinion.
Yep.
we got
You know, we should probably we have local glass companies. I think we should have our local.
Yep.
People get it.
yeah, absolutely. I will contact them. Okay. Then budget amendment will be published in the paper tomorrow and Thursday. And then again, next week, we have the budget amendment hearing October 3rd. I did email you a copy of what will be printing in the paper tomorrow and Thursday. So you can look at that if you have any questions, you can let me know. The last thing was the letter that I received from Doug that I think he all gave to you about the minutes from the August 3rd or August 8th, 2023 board meeting. He thinks that the motion's ambiguous. I did go in and check the motion to make sure that I hadn't typed it incorrectly. The motion, I think, is typed the way it was said in the meeting. So I just wanted to talk to you about if you guys want to respond or how you want to work with this. I think the option would be if you're gonna change your motion.
And I think it's pretty. If someone was gonna read that motion, it's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, as far as. It's a decision per someone else's decision. You know, I don't know how you word that better. Maybe. I guess you could. You change it to. You know, as section 11 of the contract reads, you know, if this can be amended, revised, etc. For written approval from the board and the engineer. I mean.
You could change the language to contingent upon written approval.
Yeah, maybe that would be.
Or after, approval.
Sure.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
That you could change that. But if you decided to do that, we'd have to have it on next week's agenda for you to change.
oh,
Well, I think you'd have to go back and rescind the previous motion and replace it.
I think that's what.
have you, have you received any confusion or complaints to your office, I
No,
guess?
I haven't, just Doug's.
Okay,
I think the videos and discussion that happened in the boardroom is fairly self-explanatory for anyone who's watching it. I don't see a need to change the minutes.
When
they're accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I won't put anything on the agenda for next week then for that.
Has anyone received any response as far as an acceptance? I know in here it or non-acceptance, it says in here he did not accept any amended language.
it says it's, yeah.
Okay,
Then that's fine.
does anyone want any further discussion on this topic next week or?
It's up to you three, they're the ones that are bringing it forward, so you guys decide what you want to do.
Well, I think
We've made
that
it
if
pretty
he,
clear, but-
if he wants it, more clarified or discussion on it, I mean. To do the same as everybody else and have it put on the agenda. Request an agenda item for it.
So do we want,
We could, I mean, if you want, maybe it would be best to just have it on the agenda as a discussion item and we can clarify it in the boardroom. And then you don't have to go through the whole rescinding and adopting. I mean, we could always just say, hey, this was section 11, and what we're doing that right now, this is recorded.
so,
Section 11 of the contract says that this contract may be amended, revised, renewed, or extended at any time only by written approval of the board and the engineer. So the board gave written approval, the engineer has not. That's what it meant by per written approval.
so would it be acceptable to everyone to have on the agenda next week? Discussion about, the minutes from August 8th next week?
Yeah, we shouldn't really be discussing it, it's not on the agenda anyway, so.
Well, I mean, today it's board discussion.
Yeah, board
but
discussion as it was a letter. to
We
us.
could put it on next week's, and we can even reference the action to change the engineer's contract on the next week's agenda, but I agree. I think a discussion about it to clarify would be sufficient.
I mean, if he's getting some feedback or issues in regards to that, then that'd be fine.
Sounds good. Anything else, Tammy?
That's it, but, do you want on there just to talk about, the minutes, or do you want on there to talk about the contract too, or how do you want that?
Just the minute.
Just a minute, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we have board discussion, committee reports. Jack, do you have any reports?
Next week, we got meetings.
North Iowa Community Action coming up, but no meetings last week.
I did not have any meetings last week either.
I have Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Center on Friday. So that's coming up for me.
Oh, I guess. I'm thinking about it. I did have a.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep, thanks, Marge.
Yep, thanks.
I did have someone reach out to me in regards to the incident this past week that, public wasn't notified of the threat in the community until 2+ hours after that, the phone notification. I'm just wondering, he was concerned and wanted that brought up during the board discussion. How is our emergency?
That's
Response.
handled by, I think that's handled by the Algonquin Police Department. Dispatch would be the one that sent that out. So,
Okay,
I think that'd be emergency management.
I'm sure they
It might
knew
be,
about, I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying that things were being taken care of, but just the notification.
yeah, it goes through dispatch, so
Okay.
dispatch sends it out, I believe, so. But I could be mistaken, it could be.
Actually, I feel,
I think there may have been other avenues of notifying
yeah.
the public because there,
I do know locally the word was out much earlier than that official notification came.
yeah.
So there was public that was aware of the situation before that was out.
The emergency management does do it.
I think it is through, because, Chris works with like the alert. So,
It
so,
was urgent Kossuth County alert.
yeah,
Mhm.
So I don't know who that would,
I believe it's
EMA.
EMA. Chris,
Okay.
the EMA, yeah.
okay. That's all.
Guys, anything?
Oh,
I
Like,
don't.
were you guys just here for the drainage stuff?
Yeah, you need 411. Or you guys were waiting for one guy, you should wait for everybody, or at least give them the option.
Did you make any requests?
Well, I didn't think there was one to be made, because you guys decided you were just gonna spread it. Treat something special with you. That's what you're doing.
I have not received one phone call from anyone requesting a waiver for this. We got,
Because you never gave them one. That's supposed to be decided when the project's completed. That Johnny come lately, oh, by the way, 2 weeks before the taxes are due. You guys send me bills all the time, and if you get a chance, maybe just say pay it. You're gonna do it for one, you better do it for all, then you better give everybody a notice too.
any thoughts?
No, can go back, change it, give it the offer to everybody or not, I don't know.
we only got requests from one person, one landowner, so. Anyone could
It'll
have
have to
asked
be
a
on the agenda
question,
for another day.
yeah. Oh, is there any further business to come before the good of Kossuth County? Not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We have a second to that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimous. We are adjourned at 9:19.
Week,